How's it going, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and welcome to another review of the Boruto manga. We're covering Chapter 66 in today's review. And wow, what a chapter. Even days after the spoilers released for this chapter, I'm still in utter shock at what happened here. Like, there's a lot to discuss here, so, yeah. But anyways, before we get into the chapter review, you know the drill. If you're new to the channel, you like this type of content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It'd be pretty awesome if you would do that. So first up, this chapter cover. So I gotta say, this has to be one of the weirdest looking chapter covers. Like, Kawaki, it's Kawaki with the Otsutsuki horn, or Ishiki's horn, I should say. But it looks really weird. It's drawn really weird for some reason. Like, look at his neck. I don't know, but his neck looks unusually long. Way longer than it normally is. So, yeah. Most of the chapter covers usually are pretty solid, but this one's kind of a miss, I guess. So let's actually talk about the chapter now. So the chapter begins where last month's chapter left off at, with Kawaki gaining access to the Karma Seal again, and he actually gains Ishiki's horn. So as we learn from Ada, as she's talking to Code, yeah, Amado, he apparently has been playing everyone because, yeah, he's the one that was telling Kawaki, hey, come to me and I'll give you a Karma Seal again. Well, it turns out he already modified his body for it. They just had to give him the right push in order for him to unlock it. So, yeah. I'm convinced at this point that Amado is definitely plotting something. But just what is he plotting? Not really sure yet. But anyways, moving on. Shikamaru actually catches on to the fact that Code seems to have an ally that he's communicating with. So, hopefully Shikamaru actually does something in the next chapter or two, because, yeah, right now he's pretty useless, which is pretty disappointing considering he's, like, my favorite Naruto character, and he's pretty much being used as bait right now. But anyways, moving on to Kawaki versus Boruto, or Boroshiki, I should say. So the battle starts out, and it's actually really interesting because it would seem that Kawaki already knows Ishiki's abilities and how to use them. Like, he's using the black rods, he's using the cubes, he can shrink himself, he can shrink other objects. Yeah, he basically has access to Ishiki's abilities, and he knows how to perform them already. It's pretty crazy. And another interesting thing, too, is he's combining Ishiki's abilities with his own abilities, because as you know, he has that modified arm. It's like Jugo Sage mode. So he's basically breaking out parts of his arm, and he's throwing them at Boroshiki, along with the black rods, so yeah, he's got basically double ammo. Now, despite Momoshiki being weaker than Ishiki, it's pretty clear through the series that Momoshiki is definitely not as strong as Ishiki. And Kawaki now having access to Ishiki's abilities, Boroshiki is actually handling his own, and is clashing along with Kawaki and actually landing some hits on Kawaki. There's actually one part of the battle which they're running at each other. It's Boroshiki with a Rasengan, and then Kawaki using his claw hand, or claw arm, in a scene that's very reminiscent to Part 1 Naruto, with Naruto versus Sasuke at the Final Valley. Yeah, that final clash that they had, it's very reminiscent of that, but instead of somebody losing here, they end up just blowing each other backwards. However, as the fight continues on, Boruto actually manages to wake up. And it comes at a pretty bad time, as Kawaki is actually aiming some black rods right at Boroshiki. And about 3 or 4 of them actually end up piercing Boroshiki. So, yeah, bad timing, Boruto. Probably shouldn't have woken up at this point, but whatever. And using this opportunity, Kawaki tries to crush Boroshiki with one of his cubes, which is almost successful, but Naruto steps in to save his son. And technically this would cause Code to kill Shikamaru, but he decides to just hold off on that for now, as in what's going on right now is very interesting to Code. Now, seeing this, Naruto begins to question Kawaki, wondering why he's attempting to kill Boruto. Has he lost his mind? Which Kawaki basically is doing what he says needs to be done. It's do or die at this point. And he's obviously targeting you, Lord Seventh. I'm doing everything right now for your sake. And obviously Naruto is disagreeing with this. He's like, what? Are you insane? That's my son. Kind of funny. A couple chapters back he called Kawaki his son as well, but seems like his tone has changed quite a bit here considering what Kawaki is trying to do to his actual son. But yep, Kawaki is basically telling Naruto, is like, yeah, you literally don't have the means of actually trying to, end your son's life. So I'm going to do it for you. Now Boruto has pretty much come to completely now. Even though Momoshiki is still conscious, Boruto seems to have regained control. And he ends up talking to Kawaki, and he actually explains that Amado's meds helped him, and he actually gained, at least for a little bit, temporarily, Momoshiki's powers. Obviously, this is not going to be a permanent solution. It's only going to just stall the inevitable, that Boruto is eventually going to transform into Momoshiki, and then he's going to be a threat to the world. So they decide to go through with their final resort plan, which is killing Boruto. Obviously, this is not something they wanted to do, but they have no choice at this point. Boruto doesn't see any other way, and seeing all this happen, it's pretty clear to him that this is the only way to stop Momoshiki from resurrecting, is to end his own life. And the only one they could ask to do that is his brother Kawaki. Now Naruto attempts to intervene and stop them from going through this plan, obviously realizing what they're trying to do, which Boruto uses Gale Palm and pushes his father away. And he basically tells Kawaki to do it now while he's in control. Now in the Viz Media version of this chapter, he says, "Do it, bro," which, that's actually not the right translation. It's actually "kill me, bro," but, whatever. And Kawaki literally does just that. He basically repeats the same attack that he used on Garo, the car outer member, back when Kawaki was first introduced. He basically runs through Boruto the same way he ran through Garo back then. And yeah, Boruto has a pretty clear hole through his chest. It's actually in the shape of a heart, which I thought was pretty interesting. And yeah, the chapter comes to an end with Boruto collapsing, everybody in complete shock, and Naruto screaming out his son's name as the chapter ends. So, wow. What a chapter. I definitely wasn't expecting this. Anyone in the comment section, were you expecting this at all? Did you see something like this being even a remote possibility? Because I sure didn't. I didn't think something like this was going to happen like that. Like, what a way to, end off this chapter. Now I really want chapter 67 because, good lord, I want to know how Boruto is coming back. And he is coming back because he's alive in the time skip, so he's not dead. Dead, I should say. Really don't know exactly how he's going to come back from this, but I guess we'll see in the future. Now, one thing's for certain is that Amado is definitely scheming something. What exactly is this guy plotting? Sumire suspicious of him? Code and Ada are suspicious of him, trying to figure out his motives. Code even suspects that he's trying to make Kawaki a second Ishiki, which that alone sounds scary. But, what is this guy trying to do? Nobody trusts him. I mean, well, I shouldn't say nobody trusts him. It's clear that, even though they have their reservations, Naruto trusted Amado enough for him to give those pills to Boruto, which, they're clearly not working as intended. Maybe it slows down the ossification, but, it was never going to work. So why even try? Clearly it didn't work, and Boruto bit the bullet in this chapter, so, quote unquote. So, I don't know. What is this guy scheming? What do you guys think Amado's real plot, or what he really wants to do in the ninja world? What does he want? Does he want to rule it? Does he want to destroy it? Do you want to bring someone back to the dead? Like he mentioned, he has a daughter that's been dead for 12 years. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below what you think Amado is plotting. Now, while I think this chapter is definitely the best chapter we've gotten in a long time, it's definitely something that the Boruto manga definitely needed. The last time we got something that was super shocking was Kurama's death. And since then, the manga's been kind of in a slump, and it just only recently started picking up. So this is definitely something that the manga needed, but I do have my issues with this chapter. Now, my first issue with this chapter is Kawaki's behavior throughout the chapter. Remember a couple chapters ago when Kawaki was concerned about Boruto showing up, and then facing off against Code, and then having that heart attack that he had at the end of chapter 64? What happened to that Kawaki? Because that Kawaki is dead and gone. The Kawaki we get in this chapter, he seems pretty emotionless and merciless, as he's literally trying to kill Boruto throughout the entire chapter. Granted, this is Boroshiki, but still, literally Kawaki is fighting to kill. To the point where Naruto is like freaking out and literally yelling at him. He's like, dude, what the heck is your problem? You're trying to kill my son. That's my son. You're acting like a demon. Like, even Naruto finds Kawaki's like behavior to be like out of character and like out of place. I know that Kawaki is doing this for Naruto's sake, but yeah, it just seems like a complete change. Like a flip, like a switch flipped out of nowhere. Now, I don't know if this has to do with the karma seal and maybe it reappearing affected his psyche, or Amado is doing something and messing with his mind. Who knows? Hopefully it gets explained in a future chapter, but I do feel like this was a little too sudden in my opinion, and this leads into problem number 2, which is Kawaki gaining Ishiki's abilities. Now, a while back, I actually predicted that Kawaki would gain access to Ishiki's abilities once he got his karma seal back. A couple people disagreed with me, but turns out that me and a few others were correct, so yeah, but enough of that. But the main issue here is that Kawaki is immediately using Ishiki's abilities, and he's doing so perfectly. Like, he can summon the black rods, the cubes, he can shrink himself, shrink objects, storm in another dimension. He literally has Ishiki's abilities, and he's doing them perfectly on the first try. Like, that's kind of a bit sudden, don't you think? Like, you'd think that maybe he would train towards using it in the future. Maybe towards a time skip he learns how to gain access to Ishiki's like dormant powers, and then he uses it that way. Here, he just immediately starts using it, so I don't know if it's instinctively or Amado has something to do with it. Hopefully this gets explained in a future chapter. Now, the last issue I do have with this chapter is Boruto's quote-unquote death. Now, the manner this chapter ended in was very shocking. Like, anybody that's reading this for the first time would just be blown away and just shocked seeing Kawaki, like, brutalize Boruto just like that. You would think that Boruto would be dead. The problem is all tension and all shock is lost when you realize that, yeah, the flash forward scene still exists and Boruto is indeed alive there. He also hasn't gotten that scar in his eye, so, yeah, he's not dead. I don't know if he's going to be gone from the series for a little while, or if he's going to revive, or if something's going to bring him back. Who knows, but he's going to survive this somehow. That being said, I'd like to see Hinata, Himawari, Sarada, Mitsuki, Sumire, and everybody else's reaction to Boruto's quote-unquote death. Because their reaction would it would be amazing. It just kind of sucks because Boruto is still alive in the end, so it does take away from these moments that we're probably about to get. Now, despite my issues, I think that this chapter was great, and the issues I did have are pretty minor. So I'm going to give this chapter a 9 out of 10, and I'm ending up the review here. So in the comment section down below, post your thoughts. What do you think of this chapter? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What do you think is going to happen in the next chapter? What do you want to see in the next couple of chapters? How do you think Boruto is going to come back to life? What do you think Amado is scheming? Yeah, just post your thoughts in the comment section down below, and be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you're new to the channel. And guys, have a great day or night wherever you're at, and peace.